Samuel Matthews was the kind of man who, at first glance, seemed to have it all together. In his late 30s, he had built a successful career as an executive at a rapidly growing tech company. He drove a nice car, lived in a spacious apartment in the city, and was admired by his colleagues for his intelligence and leadership. But deep down, Samuel was restless. Beneath the surface of his outward success, he felt a persistent void, a sense that something essential was missing from his life. He couldn't quite put his finger on it, but the feeling was growing stronger, and he could no longer ignore it. Raised in a small, devout Christian family in the rural Midwest, Samuel had always been grounded in faith. His parents were not wealthy or particularly influential, but they were known throughout their community for their kindness, generosity, and unwavering belief in the power of prayer. Samuel's childhood was steeped in the values his parents lived by, values of love, humility, and service to others. Every Sunday, without fail, the family attended church, and throughout the week, their home was often filled with neighbors or people from the church who came seeking advice, support, or just a listening ear. As a child, Samuel embraced his faith fully. He would sit with his mother as she read Bible stories to him, his favorite being the parable of the Good Samaritan. He was deeply moved by the idea of helping those in need, regardless of who they were or what they believed. In those early years, Samuel saw the world in black and white. There was good and evil, right and wrong, and as long as you followed God's path, everything would work out in the end. But as Samuel grew older, life became more complicated. After graduating from high school, he left home for college. Eager to experience the world beyond his small town, college life was exciting, filled with new friends, late-night conversations, and opportunities to explore different ideas. It was also a time when Samuel's faith was tested. In philosophy classes, he encountered challenging questions about the existence of God and the problem of suffering in the world. His professors and peers often questioned the simplicity of his beliefs, and gradually, Samuel began to doubt the faith that had once been the cornerstone of his life. After college, Samuel moved to the city and began his career. The pace of life quickened, and as he climbed the corporate ladder, his focus shifted almost entirely to his work. Faith, which had once been central to his identity, became an afterthought. Church attendance dwindled, prayer became rare, and Samuel found himself pursuing material success rather than spiritual fulfillment. In the world of business, faith often felt irrelevant. It was a world driven by competition, profits, and the bottom line, where personal ambition seemed to matter more than service or compassion. For years, Samuel pushed forward, convincing himself that his growing bank account and professional achievements were enough. But no matter how much success he achieved, the emptiness inside him only grew. He had a great job, but something was lacking. His relationships felt shallow, his accomplishments seemed hollow, and deep down, he missed the simplicity and peace of his childhood faith. Then, one fateful evening, Samuel's life took a dramatic turn. He was sitting at his desk late at night, preparing for an important presentation when his phone rang. It was his mother. Her voice was shaky, and she could barely get the words out. His father had passed away suddenly from a heart attack. Samuel was stunned, frozen in disbelief. His father, the rock of their family, was gone. Without thinking, Samuel packed his bags and drove through the night back to his hometown. When Samuel arrived home, he was greeted by his mother, who was holding up remarkably well. Despite the grief of losing her husband of nearly 40 years, she seemed at peace. She spoke about how his father had lived a full life, always grounded in faith and love. Samuel, on the other hand, felt shattered. As they planned the funeral, memories of his father flooded back, the times they spent together, the lessons he had learned, and above all, the unwavering faith that his father had displayed throughout his life. At the funeral, Samuel found himself standing in the small country church where he had spent so many Sundays as a child. As he listened to the pastor speak about his father's life, something inside him shifted. It wasn't a dramatic moment or a sudden revelation, but a quiet, powerful sense of God's presence that Samuel hadn't felt in years. He realized that the legacy his father left behind wasn't his career or material possessions, but the love and faith he had instilled in others. His father's true success had been measured by the way he lived, not by what he achieved. Samuel returned to the city, but he was no longer the same person. The sense of loss had awakened something deep within him, a desire to rediscover the faith that had once guided him. He began attending church again, seeking out a community where he could grow spiritually. It wasn't easy. At first, Samuel felt like a stranger in his own faith, unsure of how to reconnect with God after so many years of neglect. But he persisted, attending Bible studies, volunteering at shelters, and praying regularly. As Samuel's faith began to grow again, he noticed a change in his approach to work. He had always been good at his job, but now he saw it as more than just a way to make money. He started treating his employees and colleagues differently, with more compassion and understanding. He saw his role as a leader not just as a position of power, but as an opportunity to serve others. He began mentoring younger employees, encouraging them to pursue their passions and make a positive impact on the world. One of the most significant challenges Samuel faced came during a financial crisis at his company. The economy took a downturn, and the business was forced to make tough decisions. Many of Samuel's peers were panicked, but he remained calm, relying on his faith to guide him through. He prayed for wisdom, and in the end, made the difficult but necessary choices to keep the company afloat. It wasn't easy, and some people were laid off, but Samuel knew he had done what was right. Through it all, he trusted that God had a plan, even in the midst of uncertainty. As his faith deepened, Samuel felt a growing sense of calling. He loved his work, but he began to feel that God was asking him to do more. He started to explore the idea of ministry, something he had never considered before. The thought of becoming a pastor or preacher seemed daunting. He didn't feel qualified, and he wasn't sure if he was ready to take that step. But the more he prayed, the more he felt God nudging him in that direction. After much reflection, Samuel enrolled in a theological seminary part-time while continuing to work at his company. Studying theology opened his eyes to new depths of Scripture and strengthened his connection to God. He was amazed by how much there was to learn and how rich the Bible's teachings were. He found himself drawn to passages about compassion, justice, and serving the marginalized. And these themes began to shape not only his personal life, but also his work. However, the ultimate test of Samuel's faith came when his mother was diagnosed with cancer. Her health declined rapidly, and Samuel spent as much time as he could with her, caring for her in her final days. Watching his mother suffer was heartbreaking, but throughout it all, she remained steadfast in her faith. Even in her weakest moments, she spoke of God's goodness and trusted in His plan. Her courage and peace in the face of death left a profound impact on Samuel. When his mother passed, Samuel was filled with grief, but also with a deep sense of gratitude for the example she had set. Her unwavering faith, even in the face of death, was a testament to the power of belief. It was this experience that cemented Samuel's decision to fully dedicate his life to serving God and others. He knew that faith was not just about believing when things were easy, but about trusting God even when life seemed unbearable. Samuel stepped down from his position at the company and transitioned into full-time ministry. He began traveling, speaking at churches, conferences, and retreats, sharing his story of faith, failure, and redemption. His message resonated with people from all walks of life because it was real and relatable. Samuel didn't pretend to have all the answers, but he offered hope and encouragement, reminding others that God's love and grace are always available, even in the darkest of times. Samuel's journey was a testament to the idea that faith is not a straight line. It's filled with ups and downs, doubts and struggles. But through it all, God remains constant. He learned that true success is not measured by wealth or status, but by how we love and serve others. And he discovered that the greatest legacy we can leave is not found in our achievements, but in the lives we touch along the way. As Samuel stood in front of a congregation one evening, delivering a sermon on the importance of faith in the modern world, he paused and looked out at the faces before him. Faith, he said, is not about having all the answers. It's about trusting God amid uncertainty. It's about loving others, even when it's hard. And it's about serving, even when it's inconvenient. That's the journey of faith. It's not easy, but it's the greatest adventure you'll ever embark on. Faith is not a straight path. Life will challenge and test your faith, but God remains a constant presence, guiding you through the darkest times. Love and service define success. True success is not found in material wealth, but in how you touch the lives of others with compassion and kindness. Faith can be rediscovered at any point. No matter how far you've strayed, it's never too late to reconnect with God and live a life of purpose. Samuel's life serves as a reminder that, in the end, the greatest journey we can take is the one that brings us closer to God. Through his struggles, doubts, and victories, he found that living a faith-based life is the key to finding true peace and purpose. And that is the faith journey of a modern-day man of God. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.